Imagine, even for a brief moment, that the most effective instrument for living a life that is meaningful and fulfilling is not something that can be purchased, earned, or given to you by other people. This power is already present within you, just waiting to be uncovered and utilized. Stoicism, a philosophy that has guided countless individuals throughout the ages toward living with purpose, resilience, and tranquility, is the foundation of this reality, which is not just a thought experiment, but rather a reality that is grounded in the wisdom within Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us that the skill of mastering the art of valuing ourselves through the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance is the key to a life well lived. Stoicism teaches us that the key to a life well lived is not found in external accolades or material success, however. It serves as a potent reminder that, despite the chaos and difficulties that exist in the outside world, we possess within ourselves the unshakable foundation that is necessary for our own well-being and happiness. The timeless Stoic principles that have the potential to transform the way we perceive ourselves and our place in the world are being uncovered by peeling back the layers of societal expectations and self-doubt that we have allowed to accumulate. This journey is about more than just improving ourselves. It is about rediscovering our inherent worth and learning to live in accordance with our most fundamental principles. Consequently, you have arrived at the right location if you are prepared to learn how to open the doors that lead to personal freedom, resilience, and fulfillment. We are going to embark on this journey together, and we are going to investigate how the Stoic philosophy can shed light on the way to cherishing ourselves in a way that we have never done before. It is my sole request that you refrain from skipping this video in any way, shape, or form. Because you are here, you should think of yourself as being distinct from the majority. Put yourself in the category of exceptions. Act as if you are one, and make sure that you do not skip any of the content. Accepting less than what you deserve is the first mistake. It's something that each and every one of us has, at some point or another, been guilty of, right? We make concessions in a variety of ways, including continuing to work at a job that saps our vitality, remaining in relationships that do not inspire us, and avoiding the pursuit of the dreams that we hold dear because we are afraid of the consequences involved. We make concessions. We tell ourselves that this is the best that can be expected. On the other hand, why do we do that? Would you say it's fear? Is it easy to relax? Or it could be a combination of the two. Stoicism instills in us the knowledge that our true worth, our essence, is not influenced by the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Stoicism tells us that what truly defines us is not our circumstances, but rather how we react to them. This is true regardless of whether we are detained in a palace or a prison. In spite of the fact that we might not be able to exert control over every facet of our lives, we are the ones who hold the ultimate authority over our own perceptions, decisions, and actions. If you give it some thought, when we accept less than we deserve, aren't we, in essence, implying that our external circumstances have more power over us than we do? Stoicism encourages us to question the validity of that idea. One of the questions that it prompts us to ask ourselves is, does this circumstance align with my values? Am I reacting to this in a manner that accurately reflects the value that I possess? Additionally, even if the answer is no, Stoicism does not simply abandon us in a state of hopelessness like that. No, it gives us more power. Look, you have the ability to alter your perception, to select your response, and by doing so, to transform your reality. This is what it says. Therefore, keep this Stoic wisdom in mind whenever you find yourself admitting to accepting less than you deserve. You should remind yourself that your value is not based on the title you hold in your job, the status of your relationships, or the amount of money you have in your bank account. Your worth is determined by your capacity to act with courage, wisdom, and integrity, regardless of the circumstances, and to remain true to the values that you hold dear. The goal here is not to place blame on ourselves for the circumstances we find ourselves in. Rather, it is to enable ourselves to recognize and seize the control we do possess. Not because we are entitled or arrogant, but because we recognize the value that is already within us, let us not accept anything less than what we deserve. In order to face the challenges that life throws at us, let us respond with the strength and resilience that comes from being aware of who we are and what we believe in. When we do that, we are not merely existing, rather, we are flourishing in a manner that is authentically stoic. The second point is to minimize your accomplishments. With its profound understanding of human nature, Stoicism does not encourage us to boast or inflate our egos. Stoicism is a Buddhist philosophy. The thing that it does, however, encourages a recognition that is both fair and honest of our own efforts and virtues. How come? Mainly due to the fact that recognizing our accomplishments is not about fulfilling our pride, rather, it is about acknowledging the effort, the self-control, and the perseverance that were required to get there. Respecting our commitment to our objectives and staying true to our principles is the focus of this endeavor. Allow me to break it down for you. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are some of the virtues that are considered to be central to Stoicism. It is often because you have exhibited these virtues that you have been successful in accomplishing something, regardless of how big or small it may be. To apply for that job, perhaps it required bravery to navigate the challenges along the way. Perhaps it required wisdom, or perhaps it required discipline, which is a form of temperance, to organize that closet. You are not only undervaluing the outcome when you attribute your success to luck or diminish it as something that anyone could do, but you are also undervaluing the virtues that you practiced up until that point in order to achieve that success. What steps can we take to alter this mentality? What are some ways that we can begin to acknowledge our accomplishments without becoming condescending? Integrity and equilibrium are the cornerstones of the Stoic philosophy. Saying, "Yes, I worked hard for this," is the answer to this question. I did, in fact, triumph over obstacles that I encountered. Yes, this accomplishment is a direct result of the hard work and virtues that I have exhibited. By giving yourself credit where credit is due, you are not doing so for the sake of your ego, but rather for the sake of the truth. Right now, I want you to reflect on something that you have accomplished in the recent past. It makes no difference how big or how small it is. Consider the virtues that you cultivated in order to accomplish this goal. Perhaps you demonstrated an extraordinary level of self-control, made a courageous move outside of your comfort zone, or applied your knowledge to find a solution to a problem. Take a moment to recognize whatever it is that you are acknowledging. Recognize the character traits that led to the accomplishment. The purpose of this exercise is not to give yourself a pat on the back, rather, it is to give you the opportunity to see the truth about your own character and effort. The adoption of this Stoic practice has the potential to alter the way in which we perceive our achievements and ourselves. On the other hand, it helps us move away from a false sense of modesty and toward a genuine appreciation of our own capabilities and strengths. It instills in us the knowledge that recognizing our accomplishments is not about ego, rather. It is about acknowledging the virtues that we have embodied and the effort that we have put forth. The third point is to put the requirements of others ahead of your own. Do you agree that this is a typical situation? Whether it's staying late at work to assist a coworker, skipping your morning run to make breakfast for your family, or putting your own dreams on hold to support the dreams of another person, there are times when it feels noble, selfless, and even heroic. The catch is that putting the needs of others ahead of your own can result in exhaustion, resentment, and a loss of identity if you do this on a consistent basis. It is comparable to trying to fill cups from a pitcher that is empty. You will eventually run out of liquid. Stoicism is not about being self-centered or detached from reality. The truth is that it places a significant amount of importance on morality and the improvement of society. But in addition to that, it teaches us the vital significance of taking care of ourselves. How come? For the reason that taking care of oneself is not an act of selfishness, rather, it is the basis for being able to provide effective care to other people. Stoicism serves as a reminder that in order to be of service to other people, we must first make sure that we are in a good place ourselves, both mentally and spiritually. Unpacking this a little bit, is a good idea. The dichotomy of control is something that we learn about through Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us to understand what is within our control and what is not. We have the ability to control our own thoughts, beliefs, actions, and yes, even our own approach to self-care. The health and happiness of other people is not directly under our control, despite the fact that we may all wish otherwise. However, what we are able to control is the degree to which we are able to provide assistance, support, and love to those who are in our immediate vicinity. And the first step in that direction is to look after ourselves. Consider it in this way: when you are well-rested, healthy, and at peace with yourself, how much more patient, understanding, and present you are for the people who are a part of your life. To what extent are you able to contribute to their well-being in a more effective manner? The resilience of one's mind and emotions is much more important than one's physical health in this context. Having the inner resources to be compassionate, to offer wise counsel, and to be a source of stability and strength for other people is what it means to have this. Is there a way to achieve this equilibrium? In the process of assisting other people, what steps can we take to make sure that we do not overlook our own requirements? The first step is to acknowledge that taking care of oneself is not a luxury or an afterthought. Rather, it is an absolute requirement. It means making time for activities that are beneficial to our well-being, such as going for a run, practicing meditation, reading, or even just spending some time by ourselves in peace and quiet. It entails establishing limits and being willing to accept saying no when it is necessary to do so. When we do these things, it is not because we are indulging ourselves, but rather because we are making a commitment to being the best versions of ourselves for the people who are important to us. This week, I want to challenge you to think of a way that you can put your own health and wellness at the forefront of your priorities. It could be as simple as committing to going for a walk every day, making time for a hobby that you enjoy, or establishing limits for the amount of time you spend working. Whatever it is, keep in mind that this act of self-care is not just for you. It is a way of ensuring that when you do show up for other people, you are showing up as the best version of yourself, even though you are doing it for yourself. Having difficulty accepting compliments is the fourth issue. Stoicism instills in us the idea that it is essential to view ourselves in an objective manner. This means that we should recognize and acknowledge our strengths in the same open and honest manner that we acknowledge our areas in which we could improve. Understanding our value is important, but not in an egotistical way. Rather, it should be done in a way that is fair and balanced. For what reason do we have such a hard time accepting compliments? The majority of the time, it is because we are looking at ourselves through a skewed telescope. Either we are conditioned to believe that acknowledging our strengths in some way makes us arrogant, or we are focusing an excessive amount of attention on the shortcomings that we themselves possess. On the other hand, here is a Stoic viewpoint that should be taken into consideration. Humility does not mean denying our strengths. Rather, it means acknowledging them in a manner that is grounded and realistic. It is about seeing ourselves in the way that we actually are, without the embellishments of ego or the shadows of insecurity. Stoicism teaches us that recognizing our accomplishments and strengths does not diminish our value as individuals. Receiving compliments with a gracious attitude is, in fact, a method for developing self-awareness and exercising objectivity. It enables us to recognize the qualities that we possess and the efforts that we have made, which ultimately provides us with a more profound comprehension of who we truly are. When we receive compliments, it is typically because the person is acknowledging something genuine about us, something that is worthy of praise. Refusing to acknowledge these moments deprives us of the chance to view ourselves through the perspective of another person and to comprehend the influence that we have on the world around us. To what extent can we improve our ability to accept compliments? First and foremost, we need to adjust our mentality. It is important to remember that when someone compliments you, you should take it as a mirror that is being held up to your efforts and virtues. If you want to avoid deflecting, take a moment to think about the truth that is contained in their words. Saying thank you is a simple way to practice gratitude. There is no need to minimize or deflect. All you need to do is express gratitude for the recognition of your good qualities and efforts. In addition, Stoicism encourages us to make the most of these moments by viewing them as opportunity for introspection. This is not about feeding your ego, rather. It is about understanding and acknowledging the part of you that is capable of excellence and impact. Ask yourself, what did I do to earn this praise? How does it reflect my virtues and efforts? This is not about feeding your ego. Fifth, avoiding the process of decision-making. Have there been times when you were confronted with a decision that appeared to be straightforward, but you found yourself unable to make a decision? This hesitation, this fear of making the wrong choice, is more than just another instance of indecision. It is a reflection of a more fundamental problem, which is a lack of trust in oneself. We are in a situation where we are standing on the edge of a diving board, looking down into the pool below, and we are aware that we need to jump, but we are unable to actually do so. Stoicism is a lighthouse that shines through this cloud of uncertainty. It instills in us the knowledge that the essence of wise decision-making is not in ensuring the outcomes of our choices, but rather in basing our decisions on wisdom and reason. Stoicism serves to remind us that although we are unable to control the results of our decisions, we do have complete control over the process by which we make those decisions. When we make decisions that are in line with our core beliefs, when we behave with honesty, and when we accept the results, regardless of what they may be, as a natural part of the flow of life, we are doing the right thing. Why do we have such a fear of making choices? The majority of the time, it is because we are afraid of making the incorrect decision, which could result in outcomes that we consider to be failures or mistakes. Stoicism, on the other hand, encourages us to rethink how we understand errors and setbacks in our judgment. Every outcome, according to the Stoic philosophy, is an opportunity for learning and development. There are no failures, only lessons to be learned. With this point of view, we are encouraged to have faith in ourselves and to make decisions with bravery and self-assurance, knowing that regardless of the outcome, it will contribute to our growth and comprehension. But what are some ways that we can develop this trust in ourselves? What are some ways that we can improve our ability to make decisions, so to speak? The first step is to acknowledge and accept wisdom and reason. Take some time to think about the situation before you make a choice. Inquire within yourself, does this decision align with my core beliefs? Do I behave in a manner that is honest? You can ensure that your choice was made with the best intentions and understanding you had at the time by grounding your decisions in your core values and reason. This will ensure that your choice was made regardless of the outcome. Excessive self-criticism is the sixth example. Stoicism teaches us that it is essential to accept the results of our choices and to gain wisdom from them. Every outcome, regardless of whether it was what we had hoped for or not, provides us with important insights. This is an invitation to reflect, to understand what worked, what did not work, and how we can apply these lessons moving forward in our respective endeavors. The process of learning and reflecting on oneself helps to cultivate self-trust. Having this knowledge gives us the confidence that we are able to navigate the uncharted waters of life, make choices that are in line with our core beliefs, and develop as a result of each and every experience. Stoicism is a philosophy that teaches us the art of discernment, particularly with regard to the area in which we focus our mental energy. The passage teaches us that focusing on our shortcomings and failures, as well as berating ourselves for every perceived mistake, is analogous to attempting to navigate a ship while ignoring the wind and the tides simultaneously. The things that we are concentrating on are not the right ones. The Stoic philosophy urges us to acknowledge that perfection is an illusion, a mirage that cannot be attained. Instead, the objective is to make progress, which can be defined as taking consistent and purposeful steps toward becoming better versions of ourselves. Constant comparison with other people is the seventh point. Why do we allow ourselves to fall into this trap of overly critical of ourselves? It is frequently due to the fact that we are evaluating ourselves in comparison to standards that are impossible, standards that we would never even consider holding anyone else to. We tend to forget that being human inherently means that we are flawed, that we are prone to making mistakes, and importantly, that we have the ability to learn and develop as a result of those mistakes. By emphasizing the importance of self-compassion and the pursuit of progress rather than perfection, Stoicism provides a potent remedy for the self-imposed tyranny that many people experience. When viewed from a Stoic perspective, self-compassion does not involve praising ourselves further or making excuses for our shortcomings. In other words, we should treat ourselves with the same compassion, understanding, and forgiveness that we would extend to a close friend. In other words, it is acknowledging that failures are not reflections of our character but rather a natural part of the human experience. When we come up short, the Stoic response is not to criticize ourselves but rather to ask, what can I take away from this experience? How can I make progress? In order to adopt this frame of mind, we need to make a change in the way that we view our journey. Every single effort and every single attempt, such as those that do not produce the outcomes that we had hoped for, constitutes a step forward. As a mantra, we will focus on progress rather than perfection. This does not mean that we adopt a smug attitude or become uninterested in making improvements. On the other hand, it indicates that we pursue growth with greater zeal, but with the awareness that growth is frequently non-linear, fraught with difficulties, and beautifully imperfect. For what reason is it so simple to get caught up in the comparison trap? Human nature is a contributing factor. A natural tendency that we all have is to evaluate our own worth and achievements in comparison to those of the people in our immediate environment. Nevertheless, in this day and age of social media, this tendency is amplified to a degree that has never been seen before. Because we are constantly exposed to snapshots of the lives of other people, which appear to highlight only the high points of their lives and never the low points, we are compelled to question the value and significance of our own experiences. One of the most effective treatments for this ailment is the cultivation of self-awareness and gratitude for our own journey, which is offered by Stoicism. It inspires us to turn our attention inward, that is, to concentrate on our own personal development, the virtues we have acquired, and the progress we have made. Stoicism is not a philosophy that promotes living in isolation or being indifferent to other people. Rather, it emphasizes the importance of inspiration over comparison. It instills in us the ability to admire the virtues and achievements of others without drawing attention away from our own worth or advancement. The comparison trap can be avoided by applying Stoic principles, but how can we do that? In the first place, by engaging in mindfulness practices and recognizing when we begin to compare our behind-the-scenes experiences to those of another person's highlight reel videos. The purpose of this is to bring to our attention the fact that social media is a curated gallery and not an accurate reflection of everyday life events. The second thing that Stoicism teaches us is the importance of concentrating on the things that are under our control, such as our actions, our attitudes, and our virtues. These are the seeds that will eventually grow into our one-of-a-kind journey. By focusing on the cultivation of these seeds, we are able to cultivate a garden that is abundant with personal significance, regardless of whether or not it contains external validation or comparison. Last but not least, gratitude is an essential component. When we cultivate an attitude of gratitude toward our own experiences, difficulties, and accomplishments, we are able to firmly establish ourselves in the here and now and come to appreciate the depth of our own lives. This does not mean that we get comfortable with ourselves. Rather, it gives us the ability to work toward improvement and growth from a place of contentment rather than a place of inadequacy. The eighth problem is a lack of personal investment. Have there been times when you have found yourself putting off taking that class you wanted to take, beginning that hobby you wanted to start, or even neglecting your routine for taking care of yourself? A significant number of us are guilty of doing this. In this case, it is not simply a matter of not having sufficient time or resources. At its core, it is frequently about failing to recognize the value that we possess. We are essentially telling ourselves, I am not worth the effort that I am putting forth nevertheless. Here's the thing: Stoicism, with its profound insights into human nature and ethics, challenges us to view self-improvement not just as an activity, but as a form of self-respect. Stoicism provides us with these profound insights. Stoicism instills in us the knowledge that our capacity for reason and virtue distinguishes us from others, and that it is through the cultivation of these that we discover the true meaning of our lives. The Stoic philosopher Seneca compared life to a garden in his writings. In the same way that a garden needs constant tending in order to flourish, our inner world also needs to be attended to and cared for. The neglect of our own personal development is analogous to the neglect of a garden. Both will be unable to flourish in the absence of investment. But what is it that causes us to be so reluctant to invest in ourselves? In some cases, it is because we are unable to resist the temptation to seek instant gratification, opting instead for fleeting pleasures rather than long-term satisfaction. Sometimes it is because of a more fundamental problem, such as a lack of self-esteem or the belief that we are not worth the effort that we put forth. Stoic philosophy, on the other hand, offers an alternative narrative. It asserts that every single person possesses worth that is inherent to them, as well as the potential to be heroic. It is a demonstration of recognizing and honoring that worth that we make an investment in our own growth, whether that be through the acquisition of new skills, the exploration of hobbies, or the practice of self-care. The question then is, how can we begin to make that investment in ourselves in accordance with the Stoic philosophy? First and foremost, we need to adjust our mentality. It is imperative that we begin framing the process of self-improvement as an indispensable and non-negotiable component of our lives. We are not going to have to completely transform our lives overnight. It is more about making consistent, small investments in ourselves rather than the other way around. One way to do this could be as easy as reading a book about a subject that piques our interest, devoting a few minutes of our time every day to the practice of meditation, or engaging in a hobby that brings us pleasure. Stoic philosophy also teaches us the significance of introspection and self-examination, which is a valuable life skill. By engaging in this practice, we are able to gain an understanding of our capabilities in areas in which we can improve, which in turn directs our efforts to make personal investments. We can cultivate a sense of purpose and direction in our lives by regularly taking stock of our lives, establishing goals for ourselves, and reflecting on how far we have come. This process of self-reflection and goal setting is not just about achieving external markers of success, rather, it is about aligning our actions with our values, cultivating our virtues, and living a life that has purpose and meaning on a daily basis. The concept of learning that continues throughout one's life is another essential component. The Stoics held the belief that wisdom was not a destination, but rather a journey over time. A shift in perspective regarding personal investment can occur when we adopt a mindset that is characterized by curiosity and openness to new experiences. It is not a chore, but rather an adventure, where one has the chance to explore the vast landscapes of knowledge and experience that life has to offer. Number 9, seeking validation from outside sources. True validation originates from within, and it is achieved by living in accordance with our principles and values each day. Stoicism is a philosophical school that holds the belief that the only things that are truly under our control are our own actions, intentions, and decisions. In an eloquent manner, Marcus Aurelius brought to our attention the fact that it is not the opinions of other people that irritate us, but rather our own evaluations of those opinions. Why do we find ourselves on the lookout for validation from outside sources? When it comes down to it, it frequently stems from feelings of insecurity and a profound fear of not being adequate. It is simple to lose sight of our own path when we live in a world that is constantly bombarding us with messages about what we ought to be, what we ought to do, or what we ought to have. Stoicism, on the other hand, encourages us to turn our attention inward, to concentrate on developing our character and leading a life that is characterized by virtue. It teaches us that the way to find true peace and fulfillment is not in the fleeting and ephemeral approval of other people, but rather in the knowledge that we have lived our lives in accordance with who we are. What are some ways that we can break free from the shackles of approval from others? First and foremost, one must become self-aware. As we become more aware of our propensity to seek approval, we can begin to question the reasons that drive our actions on a more fundamental level. When we pursue a goal, are we doing so because it is congruent with our core beliefs, or because we are looking for praise? The practice of Stoicism instructs us to engage in regular self-reflection, to investigate our intentions, and to make certain that they are founded on our own personal principles and values. The cultivation of self-sufficiency is yet another Stoic practice that can assist us in overcoming the need for validation from outside sources. This does not mean isolating ourselves or becoming indifferent to other people. Rather, it is about discovering contentment and fulfillment within ourselves and acknowledging that we are complete in our own right. Another Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, emphasized the significance of concentrating on the things that are under our control and letting go of the things that are not under our control. Through the cultivation of inner contentment, we may become less dependent on the validation that comes from outside sources. Additionally, Stoicism encourages us to rethink what we mean when we talk about success. Stoicism instructs us to measure success not by the accolades or accomplishments we receive from others, but rather by our capacity to live our lives in accordance with the principles that we hold dear. Stoics believe that the pursuit of virtue, the application of reason, and the development of resilience in the face of life's challenges are the three most important factors in achieving long-term success. The 10th point is the acceptance of unfavorable environments. It's as if we found ourselves in the middle of a thick forest where the air is thick, the path is unclear, and every step feels like a struggle. Whether it's a toxic workplace that saps our spirit or personal relationships that leave us feeling undervalued, the decision to stay is frequently rooted in a deeply ingrained belief that we don't deserve better. This belief can be a source of motivation for staying in those situations. Stoicism, on the other hand, provides us with both a mirror and a map in this regard. Stoicism is a philosophical school that holds the belief that our surroundings can have a significant impact on our capacity to lead virtuous lives and discover happiness. Having said that, they also emphasize the responsibility that we have in shaping our surroundings and making smart choices regarding the associations that we have. In his work, Marcus Aurelius reminds us that our inner peace is not determined by the circumstances that we find ourselves in, but rather by how we react to those circumstances. Why are we willing to put up with unfavorable environments? In many cases, this is due to the fact that we underrate our ability to affect change. We may be afraid of the unknown, we may cling to the familiar, or we may question our own value. Stoicism gives us the ability to overcome these fears and uncertainties by encouraging us to acknowledge the inherent value that we possess as well as the power that we have over our decisions and attitudes. It encourages us to question the notion that we are confined and to acknowledge that, the majority of the time, we have the ability to alter either our circumstances or our perception of them. Stoicism equips us with the tools necessary to maneuver through and alter our surroundings. Developing one's own inner fortitude and independence is an essential component of the Stoic practice. Taking this approach does not entail adopting a stance of indifference or detachment. Rather, it is about strengthening our inner citadel, as Marcus Aurelius refers to it, so that we can continue to be steady and true to our values even when we are in the midst of chaos and negativity. We become less susceptible to the toxicity of our surroundings and more capable of making decisions that are in alignment with our well-being when we cultivate a strong inner core. The concept of living in accordance with nature, which includes the pursuit of harmony both within oneself and within one's surroundings, is yet another Stoic principle that can serve as a guiding principle for us. This entails engaging in the process of actively seeking out or creating environments that are beneficial to our development, health, and happiness. It is about acknowledging that we are worthy of being treated with respect, kindness, and positive interactions, and then conscious of the fact that we will not accept anything less than what we deserve. In a more tangible sense, the process of searching for environments that foster our development may involve establishing boundaries in our personal relationships, looking for new opportunities in our careers, or even reorganizing our social circles to include more positive and supportive influences. Investing time and effort into cultivating a personal environment through activities such as meditation, journaling, or engaging in hobbies that support our mental and emotional well-being is another aspect of this concept. 11th, the fear of attempting to accomplish dreams. If fear has such a strong grip on us, what causes it? The reason for this is frequently that we are acutely aware of what we stand to lose. Our thoughts conjure up vivid images of failure, of the time and effort that we have wasted, and of the judgment that we may be subjected to from other people. The Stoic philosophy recognizes these fears, but it encourages us to ask ourselves, what do we stand to gain from this in doing so? It inspires us to evaluate our anxieties in light of the opportunities for personal development, fulfillment, and the actualization of our dreams. We learn from Stoicism that the pursuit of virtue and excellence, which is in accordance with our nature, is an endeavor that is worthy of our time and effort, regardless of the results. Premeditation of evils, also known as negative visualization, is one of the Stoic practices that can assist us in overcoming the fear of pursuing our dreams. Negative visualization is a modern term for this practice. What this entails is thinking about the worst-case scenarios, not with the intention of dwelling on them, but rather to lessen the influence they have over us. Many times we discover that our fears are not as intimidating as we had anticipated them to be when we take into account the potential difficulties and acknowledge that we are able to endure them. If we approach our dreams with a balanced perspective, we recognize that failure, while it is possible, is not the end, but rather a step in our journey of growth. This does not mean that we become reckless or heedless of risks. Rather, we approach our dreams with a balanced perspective. Additionally, the concept of amor fati, also known as the love of fate, is another Stoic principle that has the potential to inspire us to pursue our dreams. The concept of welcoming whatever life throws at us, not merely with resignation but with enthusiasm, is what we mean by this definition. Amor fati allows us to open ourselves up to the full spectrum of experiences, including triumphs, defeats, joys, and disappointments, all of which are essential components of the human experience. When we pursue our dreams, we open ourselves up to the full spectrum of experiences. This acceptance liberates us from the suffocating hold that fear has on us and enables us to move forward with bravery and determination. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on the significance of behaving in a manner that is congruent with our own potential and virtues. It serves as a reminder that our true worth is not determined by the accomplishments we have attained in the outside world, but rather by our dedication to living a virtuous life and working toward our objectives with honesty, perseverance, and bravery. When viewed in this light, the fear of pursuing our dreams is not only a barrier to success, it is also a barrier to living a life that is truly ours. The failure to acknowledge one's own value is the 12th point. What is it that causes us to forget this fundamental Stoic lesson more often than not? We have a natural desire for connection and validation, which, if left unchecked, can lead us to seek our worth in the reflection of the opinions of others or in the milestones of success that we achieve. This is one of the reasons why we do this. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches us that true worth originates from within, and that it is to live in accordance with our nature and the virtues that we possess. Epictetus made a profound statement when he said that the only way to ensure freedom is not by satisfying our heart's desire, but rather by removing our desire. The way in which we evaluate our own value is profoundly influenced by this principle. True freedom and contentment are not the result of receiving validation from others. Rather, they are the result of acknowledging and accepting our own inherent worth. The philosophy of Stoicism encourages us to shift our focus from the accomplishments of the outside world to the development of our character. It teaches us that our worth is not determined by the titles we hold, the wealth we amass, or the approval we garner. Rather, it is determined by our commitment to live a virtuous life, to act with integrity, kindness, and courage, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in. This is not to say that accomplishments and recognition are not important. Rather, it is to explain that they are not the foundation upon which our value is built. Recognizing that our worth is inherent, as unchangeable as the stars in the night sky, liberates us from the unrelenting pursuit of validation from the outside world. What steps can we take to cultivate this Stoic understanding of the value that belongs to us? The first step is to engage in self-reflection, which involves turning our attention inward to recognize and appreciate our strengths, efforts, and capacities for perseverance. In order to accomplish this, we must cultivate an attitude of gratitude toward our capabilities, character, and potential, acknowledging that these internal qualities are the true indicators of our value. In addition to this, it entails acquiring the ability to disassociate our sense of worth from the ever-changing opinions of other people and the subjectivity of accomplishments. Having this detachment is not the same thing as being indifferent. Rather, it is about having perspective and being aware of what is truly important in the grand scheme of our lives. Having the feeling that one is not deserving of happiness. This feeling may have originated from a number of different sources, including personal failures, societal conditioning, or previous traumatic experiences. When we compare our journey to that of others, we only see the highlights of their lives, while at the same time, we are acutely aware of the processes that are taking place behind the scenes of our own. Because of this comparison, which is fueled by the misconception that happiness is a limited resource that is only awarded to those who are deserving, we begin to question whether or not we are worthy. Stoicism is a philosophy that encourages us to dismantle these misconceptions and acknowledge that happiness is not a reward but rather a way of thinking and living. It encourages us to take stock of our beliefs, to make sure that our actions are in line with these beliefs, and to discover the joy that can be found in the pursuit of virtue and the application of reason. Stoicism teaches us to let go of things that are not under our control and to concentrate on the things that are under our control, such as our thoughts, actions, and reactions. This viewpoint gives us the ability to take responsibility for our own happiness and to generate it through the decisions and attitudes we make on a daily basis. What are some ways that we can adopt this Stoic approach to our happiness? Changing our narrative about what constitutes worthiness is the first step. It is imperative that we give serious consideration to the notion that happiness is contingent upon accomplishments, external validation, or perfection. Instead, we ought to consider happiness to be something that is inherent in the act of living a virtuous life, in making the best choices that are available to us, and in appreciating the moment that we are in right now. Stoicism also emphasizes the significance of developing an attitude of gratitude. We shift our focus from what we do not have to what we do have, from the perceived deficiencies in our lives to the abundance that is present in our lives when we engage in the practice of gratitude. As a result of this shift in perspective, we are able to recognize the beauty, opportunity, and potential that are present in our everyday lives, which is an essential component in feeling that we are deserving of happiness. We are reminded of the significance of community and support through the practice of Stoicism. The pursuit of happiness is not a solitary endeavor. We recognize that our worthiness of happiness is affirmed not only by ourselves, but also by the collective wisdom and love of those around us when we cultivate meaningful relationships, when we support and acknowledge that we are supported, and when we are supported by others. Let us take with us the realization that our lives are canvases upon which we have the ability to paint with the vibrant colors of virtue, resilience, and happiness as we travel together through the wisdom of Stoicism. Let us carry this understanding with us as we undertake this journey. Always keep in mind that you are the creator of your own happiness and the architect of your own destiny. There is a possibility that the path will be littered with obstacles, but it is also lined with the possibility of experiencing tremendous growth, joy, and fulfillment. You are worthy of every bit of love and success that comes your way, and you are capable of achieving your dreams. You are deserving of and capable of achieving happiness. It is highly recommended that you watch the video that is displayed on the screen. The Stoic practices that have the potential to transform your life are explored in greater depth, and insights and strategies to live a life filled with joy and intention are provided. If you have found that this discussion has struck a chord with you, if it has sparked a flame of recognition or curiosity within your heart, then I would appreciate it if you would like this video and share it with your friends. To empower others to recognize their own worth and pursue their happiness with courage and conviction, let us disseminate the wisdom of Stoicism to as many people as possible. Congratulations on becoming a member of Stoic Thinking today. Live your life with courage, love deeply, and never stop searching for the joy that is your birthright until we meet again.